This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. Welcome back to Mountaineer Moment. My name's Troy. I am the host of this brand new podcast covering West Virginia football and basketball. Mountaineers are fresh off of defeat in a 17-10 loss on the road against Ohio. So, on this episode, we're going to break down a few reasons for that loss and a few causes for concern. Obviously, you never like to lose college football, but you certainly the taste that this one left in your mouth is pretty bad. An ugly loss. Mountaineers did not play well. Again, we're going to get into that on this episode of Mountaineer Moment, giving you 4 reasons why, specifically related to the Mountaineer offense, that resulted in this nightmare loss for the Mountaineers on the road against the Ohio Bobcats. Again, Mountaineer Moment, new podcast, West Virginia football and basketball. We've got you covered. We release, all sorts of content coming up, heading up to game day, and then obviously some post-game coverage with a couple episodes breaking down the action. Specifically, this episode dedicated to Week 2 and Mountaineers' Saturday performance, and Sunday we got the recap for you, breaking that down. So if you consider subscribing on whatever platform you're on, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you're watching or listening, to be a part of the Mountaineer Moment, we greatly appreciate it, and you can help us help you by subscribing to the show and keep you in the know when we have new content coming. Again, at this rate, 4, 5, 6 episodes a week, at this rate, again, heading up to game day and then breaking down the game. Had a lot of content on Robert Morris and a lot even more pregame content on Ohio. We're going to have a couple episodes dedicated to this being one of them, dedicating to breaking down the Ohio game. And then, of course, the Backyard Brawl coming up in just a few days. We'll have lots of coverage there, so be sure to subscribe whatever platform you are on. So, breaking down this one, again, specifically this episode dedicated to the Mountaineer offense, or lack thereof, you could say, based on their performance in Week 2. 4 things that stick out to me based on this game. And number 1 is that the Mountaineers lost the battle in the trenches. That's an obvious one, but it was one that was detrimental to the Mountaineers in this loss. It was one of the key things to watch for heading into the matchup was this offensive line for West Virginia, who obviously did all right in Week 1 against Robert Morris based on how many points were scored in the 45-3 win, and then how they protected and made some holes for the running backs. So there was a good job there, but there was still a lot of question marks related to what we have exactly. And we knew that against Ohio, against a better opponent, we were going to learn a thing or 2 or 12 again, about the Mountaineer offensive line. And what we learned was not good, was not pretty. Starting with the rush attack, Mountaineers gained just 72 yards on the ground on 28 attempts. And I actually wrote this over at hailwv.com. And Mountaineer Moment newsletter brought this statistic at you. So I'm just going to read this to you, something I included over there that kind of just sets the table for the whole day as a whole with how the Mountaineers performed in the rushing game. So 72 yards of ground, 28 attempts. That is 2.6 yards per carry. Not good against anybody, not good against a MAC opponent. Keep in mind, Jahiem White, before he went down with an injury, had a 32-yard touchdown run, and Rodney Gallagher had a nice end around for 16 yards that he almost got tackled in the backfield, but spun out of it and went for 16 yards. So do the math. You take those 2 plays out, that's 48 yards gone. So you're down to 24 yards on the remaining 26 attempts. Not good. The battle in the trenches was won by the Ohio defensive line when West Virginia was on the field, and just wasn't a pretty picture. Mountaineers, their second drive of the game was when Jahiem White was able to find the end zone for that 32-yard run. Mountaineers took a 7-0 lead, they even got another stop after that and got the ball back, and there was opportunities, and just frustrating. We're going to get to that in just a minute, but more on this Jahiem White situation. Obviously, thoughts and prayers and concerns with Jahiem after that injury, seeing him getting carted off the field after that. One of the dirtier tackles you'll see. A horse collar, a face mask, all in one. Like, literally, they called both of those penalties. I don't think I've ever seen that, in the same tackle, same motion, and a hip drop, all in one. Like, it was crazy, and Jahiem suffered the blow from it, clearly in pain. At the time of recording this episode, which is on Sunday after the game in the afternoon, no full report on Jahiem and the extent of that injury, but doesn't look good. But we're not gonna sit here and speculate on that. I love when people say, "Well, we're not gonna speculate," but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not even gonna do that. So don't want to speculate. Thoughts obviously with Jahiem and his injury, and we'll see what the results are in the coming days, I'm sure. But as those numbers indicate with the West Virginia running game, they struggled mightily. You take away that Jahiem run, you take away Rodney's run, they didn't do anything on the ground. Clay Ash seemed to be the feature back after Jahiem went down. He was the main guy getting those reps. He only had 4 carries. We know Jalen Henderson came in for a couple drives to try and spark this offense when they were trailing by just a touchdown, and Mountaineers could not do it, could not find the end zone, could not get any yards hardly. Jalen Henderson came in and carried it 3 times, didn't do anything, didn't complete a pass. He was 0 for 2. There was no success. There was no success on offense, passing, throwing, same thing, passing or running. Just wasn't good. The battle was won in the trenches. So that's number 2, though, is this Jahiem White injury. That's a cause for concern. That's a reason for, maybe for why the Mountaineers lost. Again, I'm not saying Jahiem was out there and it was going to be, this beautiful offense that the Mountaineers were going to have. But when you take Jahiem out and then you get away from the run, at least from running backs, Clay Ash had 4 carries through 2+ quarters as the guy in the backfield. We didn't see Dior Hubbard. We didn't see Ty Edwards. We didn't hardly see Sincere Bowers had 1 carry. So just puzzling, with a great amount of a cause for concern with Jahiem potentially missing however much time he could miss. It's not good that Mountaineers looked that bad without him on the field. So that's number 2 in the reason for loss. So one up front, battle in the trenches was just so clearly dominated by Ohio. That was a question mark coming in, and we have an answer, and the answer is not good. And then number 2, Jahiem White and his injury. Number 3 was the quarterback play. So Nico Markiel again started this game as expected. He looked sharp in week 1. He looked like he was very comfortable in the offense. He finished the afternoon going 15 for 26 through the air, 178 yards, and a pick. Again, we mentioned Jalen Henderson got a couple drives in the third quarter, really didn't amount to anything. And Rich just said post-game that was just to try and create a spark, which obviously didn't. And Nico checked back into the game. Nico, he had a couple nice deep balls, one to Vaughn and one to Bray. One of those to Vaughn in the fourth quarter was a really questionable call that the Mountaineers would have loved to have, because it was 40, 50-yard throw that would have put the Mountaineers inside the 5-yard line. Ruled incomplete on the field. They reviewed it. Man, it was either way, incomplete, incomplete or complete. It was a heck of a grab by Cam Vaughn on the sideline, kneeling down and keeping his leg from going out of bounds while he snagged the ball, and he didn't bobble it at all. It looked like he had, to me, he really wanted that call, because it looked like he almost had possession, like in a bang play. He caught it and then he landed out of bounds. But if he didn't bobble that, I don't know how you don't rule that a catch. But anyway, they didn't. If they did rule that a catch, Mountaineers are 3 yards away, 4 yards away from tying the game in the fourth quarter. So a huge play, huge call. It didn't go in the Mountaineers' favor in that one. They ended up, that might have been the possession that Nico ended up throwing a pick. But anyway, quarterback play. We were so confident heading into, and it's not a slight at Nico. We were so confident that the quarterback battle had been done because Nico was the guy, it appeared, after week 1. And now week 2, Nico didn't play well. But no one played well. Right? He didn't have time to throw it. Got sacked a few times. Couldn't run it. Mountaineers couldn't run it as a whole offensively. You already stated that. So that doesn't do a quarterback in any system any favors, but it certainly doesn't do a quarterback in Rich Rod's system any favors. So, the quarterback that looked real comfortable at home in Morgantown against the FCS opponent did not look very comfortable in week 2 against Ohio. And so in a lot of ways it's, I don't want to say back to the drawing board, but it's back to like, okay, what are we going to do? Numerous fans were going all over X, saying that with Jahiem White being injured and your next back being Clay Ash, all due respect to him, but with that, Mountaineers should have, needed to, whatever, put in a running quarterback. And again, we saw that happen with Jalen Henderson. Many people were shocked to see Nico come back out to start the second half, but he did. Though Henderson came in for a couple of possessions there quickly after that. But there might be some truth to that. Like maybe Scotty Fox or Khalil Wilkins or Jalen Henderson. Maybe they should have been the guy to try and get this comeback win for the Mountaineers because of Jahiem White going down, and you need a threat to run, and your threat to run at that point appears to have been most capable from the quarterback position. It just wasn't Nico today. Had some errant throws. He struggled to run the football, with pocket awareness, other than one throw he made to Cam Vaughn for 30 or 40 yards in the first half, where he stepped up in the pocket and delivered an underthrown ball, but a ball that Cam Vaughn was able to catch nonetheless. But other than that, Nico struggled, and it showed, and he didn't handle the pressure well. Decision-making was questionable at times. And again, it's not to bash Nico, so much, because you can point to every starter on that offense and everybody who got in the game as a problem, because there was many problems. But quarterback play is now, that's Nico or Jalen, whoever makes all the throws, and it wouldn't have required many more throws being made for the Mountaineers to ended up being victorious in this one, because their defense stepped up in the second half, 17-10, right? It was a 17-7 ball game at half. So Mountaineer defense shut them out in the second half, but it just wasn't enough because the Mountaineer offense was that bad. So that's number 3. And then number 4 leads into that point, is the Mountaineers' inability to capitalize on turnovers. Ohio's quarterback, Parker Navarro, who, and I don't say this often, but you could look at his game, and he threw 3 interceptions, and you'd still look at his game and be like, he had a good game. He was 22 for 31, 247, a touchdown, and 3 picks, all 3 picks in the second half. He had 18 carries for 87 yards. Back-to-back weeks, he was their leading rusher. C.A. Bangura had 20 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown himself. But, man, Mountaineers just squandered opportunities that were handed to them on a silver platter by Parker Navarro. One of those 3 interceptions did come on a 4th down. So, again, if you take that with a grain of salt, because it's either a turnover on downs or a turnover via interception. So, whatever the case. But I'll let the numbers speak for themselves, similar to what I did for the running backs and the offensive line and their inability to get anything going. But if you listen to these numbers, just golden opportunities that the Mountaineers had in the second half, again, because the defense pitched the shutout, got 3 turnovers, and you just couldn't find the end zone. But not only could they not find the end zone, they couldn't get yards even after turnovers. It was that bad. Here's the number. So at the 9:26 mark of the third quarter, West Virginia took over on the Ohio 49-yard line after an interception by Darian Lewis, who had a couple PIs in this one, and on that one of those drives, he picked up a PI, he picked up an interception to give Mountaineers good field position around midfield, and here's what they did. 49-yard line, down by 7. Mountaineers get a 3-and-out. Didn't gain a single yard. They punt. Didn't gain a single yard, and they punt. Fast forward toward the end of the third quarter. West Virginia took over at the West Virginia 41-yard line. Another 3 and out. They gained just 7 yards on those 3 plays before being forced to punt. Early in the fourth quarter, another opportunity. 13 minutes and change left in the fourth. West Virginia takes over, you guessed it, again at the Ohio 49-yard line. And what do they do this time? 3 and out. They lost 14 yards. Might have been a penalty or a sack. I think that was a drive. Jalen Henderson, maybe? Could be wrong about that one, but either way, Mountaineers had 3 interceptions with good field position in the second half, trailing by 7. Golden opportunity after golden opportunity after golden opportunity. And they not only could they not get a touchdown to tie the game, not only could they not get a first down, like they struggled to just get yards. It was bad. So, I mean, Ohio tried their very best to let West Virginia go out and win the game. All right, go out and tie the game and then maybe win the game. And Mountaineers couldn't do it. Could not move the football. Could not move the football on the ground. Could not move the football through the air. Very frustrating. Especially, again, because if the Mountaineer defense struggled, we could very well be sitting here and Mountaineers lost by 3 or 4 touchdowns. But Mountaineer defense stepped up in the second half, and so it's not like they were asking the offense to do a whole lot. Just go score once, tie this game. Just go score once and tie the game. Just once. And they couldn't do it. Could not do it. So there's 4 reasons for this Mountaineer nightmare loss on the road against Ohio. The battle in the trenches, which was a question mark coming in. It's not a surprise. It's just it's discouraging to see how poorly this offensive line played. Number 2, Jahiem White went down. That's not good. He's your star on offense. He makes this thing work, and he went down, and things didn't look good after that. Quarterback situation, Nico didn't play well. Jalen came in, didn't do much, but no one on this offense did much of anything after Jahiem went down. And then 4 golden opportunities for this offense presented to them by the defense, and they could not take advantage. So that's why the Mountaineers lost this game at Ohio, 17-10. Obviously, it's back to the drawing board and back to square one in a lot of ways for this Mountaineer offense to fix these issues, because if these issues present themselves in the backyard brawl and moving forward, not going to be good. Not going to be good. So be on the lookout for another episode coming. Just taking this question of, okay, is it time to panic in Morgantown for the West Virginia football team? So that episode will be coming next. And then after that, we're going to put Ohio to rest, and we're going to move on to the backyard brawl and pregame coverage for that. So be on the lookout for more episodes here on Mountaineer Moment. We'll see you next time.